Destiny is a very famous left-wing political commentator, and he has done a lot of talks and a lot of debates with important people. The latest one that I saw was with Jordan Peterson. I recommend you guys watch it. There's one that I watch at the beginning of every year in order to remind me of his predictions and what came to pass. A debate between Destiny and Mr. Medicare. Really interesting because they talk about the DEI, and now we get to see the effects that at the time they couldn't. So yeah, I can't really call myself a big fan of Destiny, but he is one of the left-leaning people that I watch. And a lot of people would consider him to be a more reasonable leftist, like someone with more decorum, with more common sense. And this is why a lot of people are surprised about his recent posts, which are borderlining on cruelty and sadism. I can't really reproduce many of them on YouTube, but they started with the assassination attempt on Trump. And initially he started making some crude jokes, but then you realize that, no, actually he means those jokes. Like, he genuinely feels that way about the victims, the two people that died at the event. And the way he is justifying this is that he believes, unironically, that Trump attempted an insurrection event. Now, I don't really understand how insurrection works in the United States. Like, you got some random protesters, right? Like some random people without fighter jets, without any military support, just being able to simply walk into the Capitol Hill. Like, that's what Destiny believes is an insurrection. And I generally don't get it. Like, okay, so you're in the building, and then what? Like, okay, now you occupied the building, and all it takes is for the politicians to go into another building and enact all the legislation that they need to enact. Like, if you do not have military support, if you do not have governors on your side, like, that's not an insurrection. But Destiny doesn't feel it this way. He believes that it was, and due to this, he believes that anything that happens to Trump is now justified. Especially due to the Supreme Court of the United States saying that the president can do whatever, which is something that it was implied up until now. I mean, when Obama was drone striking people in the Middle East, right, like, he wouldn't get arrested for it. There were cases where even an American citizen got drone strike, and, like, you don't see charges being pressed. And this is true almost everywhere around the world. Like it is implied that while sitting as president in office, the things that people do as part of the office of the presidency is not going to be prosecuted and has immunity. Some countries outright state that, others have it implied, and yet we do not see, like, the crazy hysteria that's coming from the left, which is like, oh, well, so the president can send the Navy SEALs to assassinate his political opponents. I mean, even in that bizarre situation, okay, like, let's say he does, the Navy SEALs can just not follow order. Other governors can say that the president is illegitimate. Like, you would open a huge can of worms. And you can also have, like, the other people who are in power, because the United States is not a dictatorship. You can have the other people that are in power impeach you, and then you're not president anymore, and then the next guy can do what you did. So, you know, this is such non-controversy that started by the media, but apparently it is enough to justify this type of behavior from Destiny, where anything that happens now against the conservative is justified. Anything, right? And he goes around and he jokes about it, makes fun about it, and a lot of right-wingers are disgusted, and they're like, well, why are you doing these things? Why are you saying these things? Like, your entire timeline is now filled with hate speech. To which Destiny goes like, so you believe in hate speech now. And this is an interesting conversation, right? Conservatives do not have the power to shape reality around them with our mind, right? Like, we do not just say, we identify that hate speech exists, and all of a sudden hate speech manifests itself into reality. Like we do not know how the left does it with their allies. Like, on the left, you can have this muscular manifestation of a man who commits a crime, and then he identifies as a woman, and he changes the reality around him, and he gets placed in a woman prison. Like, we just do not understand how you guys can do it. Like, we wish we would have access to this knowledge, but unfortunately, our conservatives academia have not been capable of discovering how you perform these miracles. But my point is, like, we cannot wield hate speech into reality. Like, hate speech exists, and it's not created by us. It's not a right-wing concept. So, because hate speech exists, if the event would have happened towards a left-leaning politician, like if the event would have happened towards someone like Biden, Obama, Hillary, where they survive an assassination attempt, and, you know, some people from the audience would perish, and we would go online and start cracking all these jokes, all of us would get banned. And not only that, but like social media would start tightening control and more hate speech and other empowerment towards the Trust and Safety Council to keep people like Destiny safe, right? So this is what conservatives are saying. Like, we know the world we live in, and it's just weird that when we do it, we get banned, and then we see you guys just oozing with privilege. Like, you're reeking with privilege. It causes us to be sinful. Like, we're sinning with envy. Because we are funny too. We make jokes as well. I mean, if we were to do a joke-a-thon, I think the conservatives would win. But, like, unfortunately, we are shackled. We are chained by the oppression of the left. Like, we are not allowed to have our jokes. But what's happening, actually, is, you know, that famous quote, which says, when I'm weaker than you, I ask for your freedom because that is according to your principles. However, when I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that is according to my principles. And this is how I can sum up the modern conversation on social media. Because on one hand, you have people that the moment someone says a joke or does something remotely offensive, they will justify anything, including doxing, contacting advertisers, mass reporting, trying to contact your real-life friends, children, like spouses. There's no limit, right? Like, we have seen this happen to a lot of conservatives. Like, there is absolutely no limit to what they would do when the person does something that is considered offensive, when they say a crass joke. I mean, my perfect example of this is during the George Floyd riot, when the wife of a football player from LA Galaxy made a joke, and the guy from the LA Galaxy, the football player, was forced to apologize on behalf of his wife, was forced to disavow his wife, was forced to apologize on behalf of himself, and then was fired from the team. And as he is walking out, you got like all these leftists booing and harassing him on his way out, right? So this is what's happening when conservatives make a joke. But when the situation is reversed, you got all of the same people that participate in this culture of persecution, and then they have like this Cheshire grin on their face and go like, I was merely joking, isn't that what you do? Oh my, oh, you're such a trigger snowflake, oh, what a hypocrite. So people are noticing this, and they're voicing it, and you don't like it being voiced. You hate the fact that people are pointing it out. And you're like, oh, well, you can't point it out because you're a hypocrite. Right. So this is why people are taking umbrage with it. And by the way, you know, like regarding the jokes, it's not really a joke if you actually mean it. So when you have an assassination attempt, something that shouldn't even exist in modern politics, and you're making fun of it, you're justifying it, but then you're also saying, yeah, like even the innocent people in the stadium that got shot, I'm not going to defend them because they're Trump supporters. Like, you're making it absolutely clear that you do not value them as human beings. Like, they have no human life value. Even though you don't know anything about them, like, you know absolutely nothing about them, except the fact that they were there at a Trump rally. And that is enough to justify, like, anything bad happening to them. And my take on this is that I still hold to my principles and believe that free speech is good. I think that destiny requires a megaphone rather than suppression. I think that everyone should hear what Destiny has to say and how he feels like. And take into account that this is not just Destiny's opinion. Like, he's getting a lot of likes, he's getting a lot of retweets. Like, there are other people that agree with him. And imagine having such individuals as your neighbors. I mean, it is very concerning. I'm glad that I live in a country where people do not think the same way as Destiny. And despite the fact that we can have political disagreements, we all understand that we're citizens of Romania and we all care about each other. maybe, at different levels. Like, I do not care about a stranger the same way I care about my family. But if I was at a political rally of a party that I wouldn't even support, but I would see something like this, I would try to help my fellow countrymen rather than think this type of things. It's just like horrifying. And this is why a lot of people are just absolutely bewildered at what Destiny is doing. Like, if you go to his timeline on Twitter, you will see exactly what's happening. And maybe he's like hate farming, like he is trying to get engagement, and this is the way he thinks it's appropriate. Perhaps it will work on the short term. I don't know, like, how it will be like in the long term. I'm pretty sure this will come back to haunt him. Like, if not in a couple of months, definitely in a couple of years, like, people will remind him of the jokes that he said. And again, like, it's not the joke that's the problem, because I can joke as well. It's the fact that you can look at his timeline and realize that he actually is meaning what he is saying. Like this is where his heart is, and it's very concerning. Hopefully he changes. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.